OK, October marks Black History Month in the UK, and it gives everyone the opportunity to share, celebrate and understand the impact of Black heritage and culture. It also challenges racism, which unfortunately is still so rife in football. And for more on this, we can speak live to Kira Rai, who currently plays for Peterborough United Women FC. And Kira, it should have been a real moment for you to celebrate, shouldn't it, after signing from Derby County last month? But instead, you were targeted by racist online abuse. Explain what happened, and can you give us a sense of your emotions during this time?
I think, like you said, it should have been a moment to celebrate. It's the first time in my career that I'd actually transferred to a new club. I'd been at Derby County for 17 years. So for me personally, that was a moment of celebration. But unfortunately, it was marred by some racist comments left on an Instagram post about my heritage, my background, my skin colour. So for me personally, that was obviously not a nice thing to go through. It was a bit of a weird feeling, actually, because a lot of the comments in themselves are actually factually incorrect, but it still felt very personal. I think for me, it kind of brought back questions about belonging in football, that sense of belonging. I think for me to have that question and for me to almost get my head around that, something that I found quite difficult, having been in the game for, well, since I was 6 or 7. So to almost have other people question my belonging in football purely based on my skin colour was something that was quite difficult to comprehend.
And it's fitting then, I guess, before your game against Notts County at the weekend, Posh and the other teams across the Women's National League, they all lined up for group photographs in a sense of showing solidarity. How did that make you feel?
For me, I genuinely can't thank women's football enough for that moment. The support from everyone, fans, players, clubs across the pyramid of women's football was honestly such a nice moment for myself. And in a way, it turned one of the worst moments in my career into one of the best, purely because of the outpour of genuine love and support. So I'm really, really grateful for everyone for kind of standing up to it and wanting to do better and almost wanting to drive change and kind of force the organisation to look, as players, we're all as one, we know what we want, and it's now kind of down to the next step to do better.
And Kira, my words, you stood your talking on the pitch, didn't you? What a way to kind of make a statement with a hat-trick. I mean, the moment when the first goal went in must have felt pretty good, but by the time you got to number 3, it must have felt pretty incredible.
Yeah, like you said, I think after the first goal went in, I thought like that was quite a nice way to end the week. I think, especially after the first half, I think as a collective, we knew we weren't good enough. So we wanted to come out second half and kind of put our mark on the game. So to go 2-1 up and then within the next 5 minutes to have scored 3, I think it was a very surreal moment. And to be honest, still doesn't feel real. But I guess that's what they say the magic of the FA Cup is.
Yeah, I hope you get to watch it lots and lots and lots of times afterwards. Now, the WSL offered clubs the option to take the knee ahead of kick-off at the weekend. Some, including Tottenham, they chose not to. And there is a feeling that it no longer makes an impact. What are your feelings on this? Do you agree?
Yeah, I can understand that. I think perhaps it's become a bit of a token gesture. It's there to kind of tick a box and say that we are doing something. But I think the more and more it's gone on, I think kind of seeing what is actually happening. I think for me personally, I think within the FAWNL across the weekend, I think where we took that moment, we took that photo, and I think now it's time for people to step up. I know the FAWNL as one have decided that they really want to drive change. They're open to have these uncomfortable conversations with myself and others, and I think the other leagues, Premier League, the WSL, also need to be having those sorts of conversations with players, likewise, to not just make these gestures and not follow through, but to make these gestures and then genuinely want to drive change and genuinely want to see football become a better space for all.
I mean, we saw Manchester United and Chelsea, didn't we? They joined together in a circle with their arms linked. In a way, does that make a stronger statement of unity? And also, you know, finally, what other actions? I mean, you talked about it then, but if you were in charge right now, what do you want to see happen going forward?
I think football needs to come together. I think football is a direct reflection of society. And I think as racism is becoming more prevalent in society, I think all needs to get ahead of it and almost come together and kind of you need to see an overhaul, and we kind of need to create a new strategy where all organizations are working together, whether that's a new organization that's put in place or whether we all come together as one to kind of get ahead of this and kind of put in preemptive responses before these things take place to kind of fight racism, to fight discrimination, so that we make sure football is a game for all.
Kira, thank you very much for your time. I mean, your career at Peterborough started very well, hasn't it? Hopefully we'll catch up with you after a few more hat-tricks.
Thank you.